Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD back at you with another route learning video, the second route learning video in the series. Today we're going to be driving service 1 whiskey something, I think it's 1 whiskey 18 from London Victoria to Brighton. So the reverse of the journey in the first video. We're going to be calling at Gatwick Airport, Burgess Hill, Hassocks, Preston Park, and finally Brighton. So again, it's about an hour and a bit run. A bit of an interesting calling pattern. I find that these early morning services and the late evening services as well, they have a bit more of a unique calling pattern. They tend to skip out places like East Croydon and Hayward Heath, but they'll still stop at Burgess Hill and Hassocks. And Preston Park. Preston Park is extremely rare for a Brighton service to stop at. A Brighton Gatwick Express or Southern service. Let me rephrase that. I know the Thameslink services stop there quite a bit, but we don't have Thameslink services and trains in World on the Brighton main line yet for some stupid reason. On PS5, that is. I know, and I need to get my money up and buy a PC. So yeah, like and subscribe if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Oh dear me. Right, let's just jump straight into this, man. So again, entering the back cab, obviously checking. We've got the. Oh, you're just gonna talk over me, aren't you? How rude. As I was saying, just checking the two tail lights being displayed correctly, which they are. So that is all good. Just entering the back cab, setting the driver reminder appliance. And again, this is just my OCD coming into play here. This isn't necessary in the slightest. You don't need to come in here and set the driver reminder appliance. I just like doing it for some reason. But yeah, do check that the two tail lights are being displayed correctly though. That is somewhat mandatory. Right, we're now gonna make our way up to the other end of this train. How much carriages does it comprise? Right, it is an 8 car. Again, I'm just gonna ignore that bit in the middle there. In my older videos, I'd be a bit more I'd be a bit more enthusiastic about it. I'd proper go in there, configure the gangways correctly and turn off the tail lights, but it's not necessary, I'll be honest. The game shouldn't the game needs to be updated in a way where it doesn't do that, where that shouldn't be the case. So yeah. Right, here we are in the front cab. We're gonna turn the AWS isolation switch into the normal position and then do the same with the driver safety device and vigilance isolation switches. Setting the driver reminder appliance up here as well. Just come out quickly, look at the tail lights. Tail lights are being displayed correctly. Sit in the driver's seat. So service 1 whiskey 16 London Victoria to Brighton. Service commences at 6:58. Departure time will be 700. Right, insert the master key. Select neutral on the reverser, also known as the F and R switch, and acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence by pressing the AWS acknowledge button. Might have been a bit hard to hear, but we also had the TPWS and AWS operational call out, which is something that is equipped to these newer trains. I'd say post 2015 or something, I'm not too sure. Oh dear me. Right, we're gonna switch our headlights into the day running configuration. Tail light switch can remain in the auto position. We'll get our doors open as well on the left hand side. We're gonna configure the destination display. So click PIS Brighton. So what's the quick way to get to Brighton is to scroll up to get to the bottom of the list and then continue to scroll up, and then you're going to scroll through the entirety of the Brighton main line and then you'll get to Brighton and then click confirm location. So like I showed you in the previous video, if you wanted to get to London Victoria, you'd only need to scroll up about 3 times and then you'll be at London Victoria. To get to Brighton or any of the other stations along the route, you have to continue scrolling up, and then after Brighton, I think it's Sanderstead, Riddles down. Okay, so that's going towards East Grinstead. So yeah, it is quite a quite a long list. In real life, you've obviously got your code that you need to type in and whatnot. It's a bit unfortunate that it wasn't simulated in that way, but I guess they want to keep it nice and simplified. So I can understand that. Right, let's pop outside once again. What we're doing now is ensuring that the headlights are being displayed correctly, which they are. So we got the brighter headlight shining from the non-driver's side, not so bright LED starlight shining from the driver's side, and destination display reads Brighton. So the all the displays are functioning correctly. Also got our Cyclops light up there as well. And then I don't think this is simulated in Train Sim World, but in reality, when you're in forward, I think it might be reverse as well. You got your little, what do they call this? The debris light. This lights up as well. And again, this is more. This tends to be found on newer trains, but some of the older trains are being fitted with this as well. So yeah, a little fun fact. Little fun fact. I'm thinking, should I drive with the windows open? I don't want to drive with the windows open because I'm scared you guys might not be able to hear me, because I did turn down my mic a bit. It's a bit weird. When I'm playing certain games, I have to have my mic volume higher. When I'm playing Train Sim World, I find that it's best if I turn down my mic, but bring the mic closer to my mouth, which is a bit weird. I'm a bit, I'm not new to YouTube, but I'm a bit, what's the word? I'm a bit stupid. For lack of a better way to explain my incompetencies. Right, there we are. Service. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, that would be that's the weather doors there. Do they call these weather doors? I think they're called weather doors. Yeah, the weather doors were open in there, and then they just closed automatically when the service commenced. Again, there's a bit of a glitch with the game. Nothing I can do about it. Oh goodness. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Sorry about that. I haven't had breakfast yet, and I don't think I'll have time to have breakfast today, which is a bit unfortunate for me. So, like I may have said in my previous videos, well, I'm sure I have, but if you guys are new to the channel, what you want to do is aim to have your doors closed. Sorry, not aim to have your doors closed, aim to close your doors, because there's a huge difference between those two statements. Aim to close your doors 30 seconds prior to your scheduled departure time. So we've got about 30 seconds now before we want to get our doors closed. Also, make sure that your signal has cleared from a red aspect before doing that. So we've got a green aspect with the letter G in the theatre box display there. Not theatre box, they don't call it that anymore. The sorry box. G is in reference to the lines, the lines coming out of London Victoria. So you got I'm gonna try and explain that after we depart. So we're down to 30 seconds prior to our scheduled departure time. Let's get the doors closed. Just pop our head out here, check we're recording again, because VRD is paranoid. Yep, we are recording. Final check of the signal there. We can now reset our driver reminder appliance into forward, and we're gonna test out the hill start functionality. So on PS5, holding in L2 into releasing the brakes, so into the off and release position, selecting 2 notches of power, releasing the hill start button, and we're away. Speed limit departing London Victoria is 20 miles an hour, so we're going to remain in notch 2 of power, also known as 50% power. When we get up to 15, going to reduce it down to notch 1. $20 miles an hour, so we're now shutting off the power. When I say shutting off the power, I'm more or less just it more or less means I'm just coasting, relying on momentum, and not, so I'm not accelerating or braking, because that can, anyone new to the railway scene might get a bit confused by that. So speed limit shortly goes up to 40 miles an hour, and then 45 not too long after that. And we've got a bit of a climb out of London Victoria, so we're gonna need a bit of power in a second. So as I was saying, the letter G is more or less just referring to the line that we're going to be taking out of London Victoria. So you got about 7 or 8 tracks coming out of here, and obviously the track, oh, the track furthest to the left over there is track A, and then the track over there I think is I or something. So we're on track G. Right, so if you were paying attention, you would have seen that the speed limit has now gone up to 40 miles an hour. So now selecting notch 3 of power. Now that we're up to 30 miles an hour, I'm going to quickly perform a running brake test. That simply involves selecting 50% braking, so notch 2, sorry, brake step 2, observing the speed fall by 10 miles an hour, and then that's it, accelerating back up to line speed. Speed limit is now 45 miles an hour as well, by the way. It went up to 45 miles an hour at the top of that climb out of London Victoria, although for some reason there wasn't a speed board associated with that, so you just need to know it's there. What I normally like to do when driving along this stretch here, just after departing from London Victoria, I only accelerate up to about 40 miles an hour. The reason for that is, so we're passing through Battersea Park Station, by the way. Oh, the sounds tend to be a bit glitched when driving with the windows open. So the reason for that is we're soon going to enter a rather lengthy downward section, a rather lengthy downhill section. It's not that steep, but it's about 3/4 of a mile long. So by the time we reach the bottom of that downhill section, the speed would have rolled up to 45 miles an hour. So similar to what I showed you guys in the previous video, it's just to cut down on the wear and tear of the train, you know, prevents us from needing to be on and off with the brakes. But I feel like I might actually break the speed limit here ever so slightly. We'll soon find out. If I do, I think it's only going to be by 1 mile an hour maybe. So here we are approaching the bottom of the downhill section now. Yeah, 46 miles an hour in the 45, which isn't, it's not good, but it's not a huge breach of safety. Anyway, if you were paying attention, you would have seen the little 60 board there down at track level. So when the rear of our train has passed that, we can accelerate up to 60 miles an hour. So speed limit is now 60, going into full power. And we're now on a steady, shallow upward gradient for the next couple of miles. So if you want to, you can just select notch 2 of power and relax for a bit. And just, you know, take the slightly slower acceleration. On this occasion, I've just decided to go straight into notch 4 and accelerate right up to 60. Then now that we're at 60, I'm just cutting back on the power. Like I said, we're on a slight upward gradient, so you're not going to be able to shut the power right off and maintain speed. So you're going to probably need to be bouncing between notches 1 and notches 2 of power. I'm in notch 1 at the moment, and we're more or less balanced to right on 60 miles an hour. That was Clapham Junction station that we passed through just then, by the way. Very large station. It's only 17 platforms, but it seems a lot bigger, and it's quite busy considering its size. Right, so in about a quarter of a mile, we're going to be passing through Wandsworth Common Station. And then immediately on the other side of Wandsworth Common Station, we've got an increase in the speed limit up to 70 miles an hour. So I've been in notch 1 of power the whole time. You can see we've only lost 2 miles an hour of speed. So here's Wandsworth Common Station, looking out for that 70 board, which is there. Very hard very hard to make out. At night time that might be completely impossible to make out. But again, just waiting for the full length of our train to be clear of that, which at that speed it won't take long at all. And we're now back into full power. Very steep climb between Wandsworth Common and the following station, which is Balham, which we're passing through now. 1 in 94 upward gradient, so that is quite steep. So you're definitely going to need full power going through there. And then after Balham it levels out a bit. In fact, it is fairly level between Balham and Streatham Common. Not completely level, but fairly level. So I am going to begin to cut back on the power as we get up to 65 miles an hour. 67 miles an hour, just going to reduce it to notch 1 of power. So yeah, I do hope everyone's being alright. You know, it's a bit, life's a bit insane right now for myself, and I'm sure for quite a lot of you as well. You know, I have been I've been struggling with the consistency of the videos over the past few months. As you guys can probably tell, I am trying to get back into that 2023 level of consistency that I had. I do want to try and get that back, and I want to try, like I said, I want to try to strive out of the let's play content a bit more. I want to try to do like more tutorial type videos and stuff like that. Just sharing the knowledge that I have with all of you. I feel like that is a good way to bring in more supporters. But I do want to thank everyone that has been supporting the channel, especially the people that have been here from the beginning or near enough the beginning. I do know who you are. I recognize all of you when you drop your comments. And the guys that I say guys, the guys, girls that like the Instagram posts as well. I do have an Instagram page. I'll link it in the description. Feel free to check that out as well. So I've just been bouncing between the various notches of power, and I think I did shut off the power at one point as well. That was Streatham Common Station that we just passed through. We're now coming up on Norbury Station, and similar to the section in between Wandsworth Common and Balham, there's another significantly steep upward gradient between Streatham Common and Norbury, so just keep that in mind. You are going to need a bit more power. I think I didn't need any more than notch 2 going along that, just to maintain 70 miles an hour. So I'm now going to show you guys a trick. I have spoken about this trick in some of my other videos, my older videos, but I need to always consider the fact that there are new people watching my videos. So at Norbury Station, providing you're doing 70 miles an hour or near enough 70 miles an hour, you can shut off your power and rely on momentum and reliably slow down for the upcoming speed limits right up until East Croydon Station, which at that point is probably a good 3 miles away. If you don't believe me, then just watch. So I haven't touched the power controls once since you excuse me, I've not touched the power controls once since we passed through Norbury Station. This is Fulton Heath Station that we're passing through now. Next station, which is Selhurst, is in about 3/4 of a mile. Is about 3/4 of a mile from here. Just before Selhurst Station, speed limit goes down from 70 to 60 miles an hour. However, like I said, we don't need to brake for that, because Gravity has brought us down well below 60. We're doing 57 miles an hour at the moment. So you can see the platforms for Sohurst coming up. There's the 60 board. And we can now continue to remain in the off and release position and just rely on gravity to continue to bring our speed down. Next station is East Croydon, where we're not going to be stopping, which is a bit unusual for me. So I need to remember not to brake or anything like that. So speed limit drops down to 45 miles an hour, about a quarter of a mile out from East Croydon station. So when you see this bridge coming up, this rather thick looking bridge, that is a good indication that you're coming up on the 45 limit. 45 limit starts directly below this group of signals here. But again, gravity has brought us down below that. And I haven't touched the control since Norby Station, guys. This is real life, I'm telling you. This is what thousands of hours driving up and down the Brighton mainland does. You learn cool little tricks like that. So passing through East Croydon Station now. If you were planning on stopping at East Croydon Station, then you'd probably want to get your brakes in. Probably want to get your brakes in around the 45 limit, I'd say. Right, so speed limit goes up to 60 miles an hour very shortly. There's the 60 board coming up now. So again, just waiting for the full length of our train to be clear of that before accelerating. Now selecting notch 2 of power. The reason I'm not selecting full power is because the speed limit after the following station goes up to 90 miles an hour. Following station is South Croydon. So what I'm trying to avoid is I don't want to get to 60 miles an hour before being in the 90 limit, because that would mean I have to shut off the power and then reapply it, and it's unnecessary effort. So I'd rather just take it easy with the acceleration. Once we get into the 90 zone, then we can go into full power. So there's the 90 board there. So just going straight into full power now, because we're only at 53 miles an hour. So by the time we reach 60 miles an hour, we'll be well clear of the 90 board. And you can see that the current speed limit display on the heads up display up there, top left of the screen, has changed from 60 to 90. So just keep an eye on that, use that for reference if you're unable to keep up with the commentary. This is Purley Oak Station that we're passing through. This is Purley Station. We're now we're now coming up on Nest Junction. So the lines to our left here are what's known as the slow lines. Those are the lines that pass through Red Hill Station. So the slow lines and the fast lines have been running alongside each other since London Victoria. In a minute they're gonna separate from each other, and then they're gonna rejoin each other in about 5 miles time. Nest Junction is the final opportunity you have to cross over onto the slow lines if you wanted to call at the stations that the slow lines serve. So for example, Coulsdon South just there, Merstham, Red Hill, and then they rejoin each other. They rejoin each other just south of Red Hill. The fast lines don't call at any of those stations, so it's just I believe the fast lines are somewhat newer than the slow lines, and they were just built as a way for trains to bypass Red Hill and stuff like that, just to cut down on the journey time ever so slightly. As you can see, the slow lines are now down there, and then we're gonna pass over them. So we're gonna be on their left, we're currently on their right. We're gonna pass over them, and then after that, speeding ever so slightly. Too busy giving you guys a little history lesson, so cutting back on the power a bit. It's quite a steep gradient on this little stretch here after Purley Station, so just keep that in mind. And another momentum trick, we call it coasting. I'm gonna use the proper terminology. Another coasting trick here is, so we just passed over these slow lines, like I said. What you're looking out for is a 90 board. Even though the speed limit is currently 90 miles an hour, you've got another 90 board there for some reason. Once you pass that, providing you're doing 90 miles an hour or near enough 90 miles an hour, we're doing 88 miles an hour. If you shut off your power when you pass that, your speed is gonna roll down to 85. You're gonna pass over the summit of that long climb, and then your speed is gonna begin to roll up back towards 90. So again, just it prevents us from having to constantly tap on the brakes to keep our speed below 90. It's easier to just roll down to 85 and then let gravity bring it back up to 90. So we've now passed over the summit of the climb. This is Quarry Tunnel that we're passing through. This is, I believe, the second longest tunnel on the route. So yeah, we're now going to be the ruling gradient is now going to be downhill for the remainder of the journey into Gatwick Airport. So it's between East Croydon and Quarry Tunnel, it's a ruling upward gradient. Between Quarry Tunnel and Gatwick Airport, it is a downward gradient, and that is because we are climbing over something known as the North Downs. The North Downs is more or less the Himalayas of southern England. That's the best way I can put it. And we can now expect we can now expect a reduction in the speed limit down to 80 miles an hour. You do get a advanced warning board for that, which is nice. So also coming up on the second tunnel of our journey, which is known as Sand Tunnel or Red Hill Tunnel. There's the advanced warning board for the 80 limit, like I said. So what we're going to do is apply one step of braking as we enter the tunnel here. and that will bring us down to 80 miles an hour on a very nice braking curve. And because of the downward gradient that we're on, I'm just gonna slow down to about 78 miles an hour, 77, just to give us that bit of breathing room. So this is Oldswood Station that we're passing by now. You can see we've rejoined these slow lines there. They're now on our right. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. Speed limit has now gone up to 90 miles an hour as well, by the way. So yeah, Oldswood Station is the first station south of Red Hill. So Red Hill Station is probably about a mile and a half behind us. So I've now shut off the power at 80, 87, 86 miles an hour. And again, like I said, just because of the downward gradient that we're on for the rest of the journey into Gatwick Airport, by shutting off the power at 86 or 87 miles an hour, you're just allowing gravity to bring you up towards 90. By the time you get to 90 miles an hour, you're going to be ready to put the brakes on for Gatwick Airport. We're now passing by Salford Station, just on the right over there. We're now approaching Hawley Station, which is the final station before Gatwick Airport. This is where you want to start thinking about getting your brakes in. So we're going to make a brake step 2 application at the end of the platform there. Bearing in mind we are driving in dry rail conditions. In wet conditions you want to be braking slightly earlier, maybe at the start of the platform, just before the start of the platform. Speed is coming down quite nicely. You can see the platforms for Gatwick Airport Station coming up now. Just reducing it down to brake step 1, aiming for an entry speed of 30 miles an hour. If we had a red signal at the end of the platform, then it would be a slower entry speed, but the signal at the end of the platform is green, so we can do 30 miles an hour. No faster than 30 miles an hour though, so I did momentarily release the brakes. Now doing 30 miles an hour on entry into the platform. So from there, a brake step 1 application should bring you down nicely for the for the stop location. May need a short burst of brake step 2, but we'll see how we get on. Yep, I can see the 8 carriage stop board coming up now, so just giving it a burst of brake step 2, back down to brake step 1, up to brake step 2 again, brake step 1, releasing, and just creeping up to the stop board. You want to have this stop board in this little window here, like that. There we go, perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, setting our, actually, do we need to set the DRA? No, we don't. Door release on the left. Only set the DRA if you have a red signal in front of you. Yep, Gatwick Airport Station, my people. Gatwick Airport Station. This is platform 5. If we were, sometimes you might call that platform 7, which is over there on the far side. That has a 60 mile an hour speed, 60 mile an hour speed limit through it. So you would need to, if you're braking for the station anyway, then it wouldn't really matter, because you'll be well below 60 by the time you get to the start of the 60 zone for that section of track. But it's still important to keep in mind. And then platform 6 has a 30 mile an hour limit, so very important. But I might do another video. I might do another video on that.